Alright guys, welcome again to this series. In this episode, we are going to design the administrator's dashboard as we see it here. So in this particular page, we'll focus a lot more on the navigation because it's a little bit different from that of the previous pages. So, and this navigation on this page is going to be carried along on the remaining pages. So this might take us a bit longer, but once done, we are going to gain that time on the remaining pages. So without wasting too much time, let's go ahead and do that. So we go back to our text editor. So here we have the administrator sign in. So I'll do the same convention by naming the next page admin underscore dashboard. So dashboard. Alright, so once that's done, I can go ahead. So we have admin login, admin dashboard. So once that's done, I can now go ahead and set the various values. So the title is going to be dashboard. So once we enter the title, here we inherit the skeleton, the basic skeleton of the page, which is the background and so on. And if you could notice on the actual preview, the color is a little bit different. So I allowed myself in the background to just change the background color, and then the container here, the main content background color. So we can go ahead. So since we've inherited the skeleton, so we are going to rather change the content. So I can see the form here, the header here. So this header, we are not using it in the admin. We have a different header. Remember, the header was actually in that main container here on the previous pages. So the header is in the main container. So in the administration, the header is in actually the body tag. Yes, that's the body of the document. So we have to get rid of this here. Then we'll go outside the main here and paste this and see what we have. So we are going to admin underscore dashboard .php. So here it is. So you can see where the header went, and now we have our content, the main, and then a form inside. So this form is not going to be login because in the admin's dashboard we have create new post. So create new post, and then this button here is going to be new, create new, save new post. So save new post. So I'm trying to reuse this form. So then we have the post title, post accept. So this type is not email, it's text, and the name is title. And you can remove the title and say new post title here. So, and here we can see that we have labels. So label, and then we'll have to give it an ID. So label for title. So we add the 4 to the label, we add the title. So this matches, and here we can go ahead and no, I don't have to encompass this inside. So rather, then I'll be rather doing it this way and say post title. So that's the label. So this will give us something like this. So when I click on the title, it brings the focus on in the field. So that's the purpose of this label here. So we are going to do the same thing for the rest. So for now, I'm just going to focus on the header to get us to get the navigation done, because it's very important and it might take us a bit time. So let's go ahead and work on the structure, the HTML structure of that navigation. So we go back here. So if we look at the mockup, so you can see that the name goes at the left side, and then we have at the right hand side the user's name, the administrator's name, and then the sign out. So in the middle, within them, we have the manage menu, which is a drop down. So it means in our header here, and this header will give it a class because we want it to have a different styling, and that class is going to be so admin header, right? So admin header. Then we'll have our h1, which is the name. We'll keep that. Then at this side, we are going to have a nav tag, which will have a UL tag in it, and that UL tag will have an LI, and that LI will have a, and that A will write manage, or we might even ignore this because we are not going to click on it. So this is going to be the manage button here, and then right inside it, so I think that's why we need this a tag here. So let's say we use let's use AM, or let's go ahead with the A tag, no problem. You understand why I'm doing that. So we'll have A tag for this LI. So let me save it and you see what we have. So you see them managed here showing us a button, but right under it we want to have another list which will contain two elements, which are the content and then the administrators. So the first list, sub list, so we call that sub list, and the first one is going to be content, and the second one is going to be administrators. So the idea is to make sure that this manage the content and the administrators are not visible in the initial position, but when we mouse over on the manage, then these ones will be revealed. So that's the idea there. So after the navigation, we'll also need an aside which will have a navigation, and that navigation is going to be two elements. So the first one is the user's name, so connected as, so we just write the admin's name, and the second one is going to have the A tag, which will contain the sign out link. So this is it. So with that being done, we should have all the elements needed to now start our document. So let's go ahead and start this navigation. So let me give this a class so that I can target it easily, or since we have a class for the admin header, I think we are okay, we can go ahead with that. So let's go ahead and start the admin header. So we go to our styles, we go to the bottom, then we create a separation, admin dashboard. So we start from the class admin header. So that class admin header, let's look at, so everything must be displayed flex. Justify the content space between so that it throws the logo at the left side, and then the aside, if you remember, it will throw the logo, which is the heading one, at the left side, the aside at the right side, and then the nav here at the middle. So if you refresh, we should have something like that, which is great. So next is to adjust this area and this area. So let's start from having some common style for these lists we have inside. So for the admin header, all the unordered lists, and then for the admin header, all the unordered list LIs. So apply them a common style, which is to remove the margins, make it 0, the padding 0, and list star type to none. So this will clear all these lists. And also, if possible, we can add a text align left. Good. So once we have that common style applied to them, we can now specifically target this and that and see what we can do. So the other thing I would also like to eliminate in the admin header, the margin. So this is not that cool, but I think it's okay. The reason I'm saying this is the H1, the heading one, does not have a list star type or so, but I'm just doing it, and since CSS will just ignore it, so I think it is all right as well. What did I do? Okay, heading 1, I don't know if anything changed. It's rather the other way around. Admin header H1, it rather gave it the space I wanted to eliminate. So let me look at it. Okay, so okay, I think this works. Rather, let me ignore. It seems that margin was already eliminated, and the margin and the padding was already eliminated in the previous styles, so it is fine. So let's move on to the next part. I think I will start from this side, which is a bit easier. So we are going to say admin header aside UL display flexible. Yes. So here we are also going to add align items to the center and align content to the center as well. Great. So once we have that, let's continue with the nav here. So justify content flex end, because I want them to align themselves at the end, at the right hand side. So align items at the center as well. Great. So since they have A's, so there's no A for this one, but this one has a A. So what I can do is, let me look at the mockup again. So we have UL and then we have LI. I think we have to target the LIs directly. So we are going to say LI, then we are going to give them some padding, and we say something like 5. Or to make it easier, since we have one A inside, so we start that A and we make it display as block. Then once we change it as a block, we can now give it padding of 0.7 so that it occupies some large space. Once when you mouse over around it, you can still grab it. So you see, even around it, I can still get it. That's great. So once we have that, I'm going to give it a margin left of 1 rem. Great. So and then I could now do border left 1 pixel solid silver is solid. Then we can give it a color of, let's say, 333. So great. So we get something like that. We get the line there showing up. So I think we might make it a bit cleaner. Great. So this is a bit obvious. So we have the admin's name and then the sign out button, which is already responding to the styling we've applied to the links, the A's. Great. So we can now move on to the next part, which is the content, the manage menu. So for the manage menu, we have so for the manage menu, we have a nav, a UL which has LI, and then under the LI we have a UL. So this is what we are going to do. So we are going to grab nav. So let's give it a class because we have a nav here. So if I start nav directly, we might have a challenge. It might apply everywhere. So let me give it a class, and I'll say admin menu. So admin menu. Oh, admin menu. So we have the admin menu. So we are going to say admin header dot admin menu, right? So UL, that's the first UL. What do we want? So first thing I would like to do is to start this LI. So this LI here, the first LI, I would like it to have some star, and that star will also going to be applied to the sub menu, the sub UL. So what I want to say is this: we do LI, and then let's say I say border 1 pixel solid, and then I keep the color to 66 like this. So I keep the color to 66 like this, and then I reload. So you could see it applies it to the sub menu LIs as well. But I want to apply it to the immediate LIs, not the sub LIs. So let's see, UL immediate LIs. Yes. It applies to my LI. That's not good. So we might have to cancel the LI, the border for the sub menu. So once we have that, I would also like to give it some padding, or since it has a tag inside it, so I could say the A tag should be displayed as block, and then we'll give it a padding just like we did here, this same padding. So this gives us something like that. All right, so I'm liking it. So the next thing we like to do is, so imagine it's like the content and then the administrator's part will not be visible. So but until you mouse over on the manage menu you see here, and then it will become visible. So basically we'll have only one square, and once we mouse over, the remaining squares will show up. But based on our prototype, we could notice that we don't have these borders inside. We only have the borders around like this. So this basically means and I wouldn't want to see this border at the initial state, but rather once we mouse over. So to achieve that, I think we will have to cancel the borders on the sub LIs. That's the first goal. So once we do that, then it will remain the border for the parent LI. So let's go ahead and look at how to go about that. So we go ahead, we grab this. So we are going to say UR and then UL LIs again. So the UL under the first LI and then the LI of that UL. Then we are going to say border 0. Great. So then we get that rectangle inside. So once we have that, these LIs too, we could see on our prototype that they are a bit shifted at the right side. So this gives it this feeling. So we could now say we'll use the A's and then give them some padding left, a larger padding left. So we are going to do this. So for these LIs, that's the sub menu LIs and the A's, we would like the padding left to be like 1 rem, so a little bit larger. And when we reload, we can see that shifts, so that's quite small. So let's increase it to 2 so we see it clearly. All right, so we see something like that. This is cool. So now I don't want this border tool to show up until we mouse over on it. So I want the manage to stand alone, but once we mouse over on it, then this border can show up. So to make that happen, we'll have to go back to this area where we have this the border set, and we'll rather make it transparent. So basically the border should be there but invisible. So once we have that element hovered, so we say hover. So whenever we hover on that first LI, then the border can move on to have a color and show up. You can see. Great. So this is happening because the same style applies to the sub menu navigation. So we'll have to clear that for the sub menu navigation. So we are going to say sub menu navigation LI border, we said 0, and then we also have to do it on the mouse over border 0. Great. So we get the same effect. Great. So once we have that, so you can see that it only shows. So once we have the menu, the normal menu start, we can go ahead now and go back to the first LI and say first LI UL. So this place first here. So we'll say the first LI, so that's the parent UL and its sub menu. So we don't want the LI, its sub menu, and we say display none. So it means by default the sub menu shouldn't show up. So you can see now the hover shows up, the rectangle shows up when I mouse over. And then once that is done, on the mouse over of this LI, the first LI, on the mouse over, so when we mouse over on the LI, we want this immediate. So on the mouse over of the LI, find the admin header, admin menu, UL, LI, UL, the sub menu, and display it as block. So basically, when we mouse over on the first, this is a lot. So admin header, admin menu. I'm keeping all these classes so that you understand the whole process, the stages we go through to get that. So UL hover. So admin header, admin menu, UL, LI, UL, display block. Yes, because that's what we cancelled here. This is the guy we cancelled here. So we go ahead and see. So let me reduce it. In fact, let me bring it down here where we have it like this. So we are trying to set this. Let me do this and see. So what we do is we'll say, okay, admin header, admin UL, admin LI, UL. So the UL under that LI, we make a display to block. So when we mouse over on the first LI, the UL that follows it, the display should be blocked. So if you reload and mouse over, now we can see on the mouse over, the sub menu shows up. And at this point, you can see it jumps, it breaks the design every time we mouse over. So to fix that issue, we'll change the position of the sub menu. So not only we'll hide it, but we'll also change its position and say it should be absolute. So currently its position is relative, so we want to change that into absolute, and when we do, you can see now it shows up. Great. And then it breaks our design, which is the border we wanted to have. So how do we get that back? So the first solution could be to give a height to the LI, the first LI, this one. So we could give it a height, and let's say 200 pixels. So this is, it is actually taking net, so rather let me give it a position of relative. Let's see. So the easiest solution to solve this problem is to also give the LIs, the sub LIs, a border. So in this case, I would like it to have the border right. So let me pick this here. So that's the border we want. So we'll be like, so the sub menu LIs here should have a border. Let me make it just border and see. So once it has the border, we can see that it creates a tab, not a rectangle around as we wanted. So the first thing is I will extend the width of the main LI. So the main LI, that's the first LI here. I could make the width, I could set a width for it, and that width will be somewhere around, let's say 200 pixels. Let me start from there. So once I do that, I can now get something like this. Okay, so this is, we are getting there. So now we can also, if we remember, we cancel the borders around the sub LIs on the mouse over. So, and here we are interested in only the border, but the border left, right, so that it creates our rectangle. The top and bottom are not needed. So we'll go to the sub LIs. No, this is confusing, but it's a good exercise. So we are going to say border bottom 0, and border top 0 as well. So when we do that, what do we have? So we can see that we've cancelled the border top and bottom, and at the last element we also notice that the bottom is gone, so which is good. So we can fix something. We can fix that by saying, okay, all these elements LI, all these LIs last child, so that's the last element, and we could now give that a border bottom. So the last element border bottom should exist. So if we check that now, we can see. So now the remaining problem is to cancel that cancellation of border on the mouse over, and that is here. Mouse over here, border 0. So here we'll see what we have. Great. So we are having this crazy effect. So first of all, I would like to cancel the border bottom of the manage to. So that's the main border here. So we can also say border bottom none. So this gives us a rectangle. No, border bottom none. So this is hover, so let's put it here. Great. So these ones are still having the border. So we now have our menu set, and as we designed it, I allowed myself to change the manage into capital letters and then added this little background here. So here I think we are good. So the next thing is I would like to reduce the size of this header here. So let me inspect it and see what we have. So we can see that it has a padding button of 2, margin button, padding bottom of 2. So I think by cancelling just that, we should be fine. So admin header, so let's confirm. That's admin header. So we have that set, and the next thing we like to do is to just fix our form here. Alright, so this brings us to the end of our design for our administrator's dashboard. So in the next videos, we are going to now finalize the pages required for the administrative functions. So until then, see you.